È un transito di 2 ore. Ok.
Sì, c'è infatti il video. E infatti praticamente prima...
Is it a way we can have him go all the way to New York? Yes, please. 2.
Exactly.
Yes.
Let's do mine first.
Paris to New York.
Mamma mia.
Rome to Paris. Catania to Rome. 8:80.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We're here filling out our information to leave.
Just stay, ok. Poi qua dobbiamo mettere il presidente della nostra regione, il presidente della regione di Roma.
L'idea regione di appartenenza, quindi Sicilia e Lazio. When you arrive to Roma, you put Lazio e Parigi.
Qua diceva in domicilio. Situazione di necessità, poi diceva rientra in domicilio.
E rientra cos'era qua?
Rientra.
No, questa.
Ha detto di giampare.
So we are at the Catania airport now. Our flight takes off in like 40 minutes, but we are waiting at our gate to be boarded. They made a huge stink about the fact that we were going to France and that we weren't French citizens, which I'm not really sure why, because it doesn't really matter, but I guess it all just depends on, you know, what person you get working the counter. We are ready to go. We have our tickets, we have everything. We had to fill out a bunch of forms, or a form basically stating why we were in Italy and why we were leaving and just stuff like that. And there's Felicita on the phone with Mom right now. But yeah, we're just waiting at our gate. I want to go get a cappuccino before we leave. There are like 5 different cafes or bars in this airport, but there's only one open, and I definitely need a cappuccino before we leave. So.
Devono essere riposti nello spazio sotto la poltrona di fronte a voi. Grazie per la collaborazione. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome aboard this flight to Rome Fiumicino. Luggage items only. Please place all other personal belongings under the seat in front of you.
So we are in Rome right now. We just spent the night in a hotel here, and it's 6 in the morning. Last night we went out, went to some pizzeria and got some pizza.
It is 1,000,000 degrees in here.
Yeah, the air conditioning. We have the air. So, and we're gonna go downstairs, get some breakfast, take a shuttle back to the airport, and head off to Paris. Get to the airport, we have way more forms to fill out, but this time we're gonna ask for the English version because the English version is so much more simple than the Italian version. Like, you only have to fill out hardly any questions, where in the Italian version you have to fill out so many questions. So we should just gotten the English version all along. So we're in the shuttle bus on the way to the airport right now.
And there's classical music playing. At first I thought it was the ringer of the dude behind us.
But it's like classical Italian music. Why am I like this? Classical Italian music playing. How do you feel about being in Rome? Now we're going to Paris.
informa che, come da disposizioni ministeriali, i signori passeggeri sono tenuti a rispettare la distanza di almeno 1 metro tra una persona e l'altra. Inoltre, all'interno dei terminal è
Please respect the minimum distance of 1 meter between each other. Please wear your mask at all times while you're at the airport.
So we are in Rome right now, the Rome airport, and to go through security was the easiest security I've ever been through in my life. There was no line whatsoever, so it took less than 2 minutes, no temperature check, no questions asked, nothing. Like, no one stopped you. You just went all the way through, and literally took less than 2 minutes to get through security, which was the easiest security I've ever been in my life. Anyways, we're about to board to go to Paris, which is our next stop. And interesting, I've never been to Paris, so it's gonna be interesting. Everything's in 3 languages at the moment: Italian, English, and then French. People are boarding now. The Sky Priority people are boarding. That's not us.
Whatever.
So we are in Paris, walking to our gate to take us to New York. And we just came back, the police, the border patrol of France. It was one by one, so I went to the first place, and then Stella goes to the one next to him. I give him my American passport. Okay, so as he's like flipping through my passport, trying to find when I entered Europe, he couldn't find it because I have so many passport stamps, and he's like, when did you arrive in Europe? And I was just like, okay, so 2 reasons I froze. 1, because I've been in Europe longer than I should have for my American passport, and 2, honestly couldn't remember because we've been in and out of Europe so many times already. So we went. So I look at Stella, who's next to me, and the other police officer's flipping through her passport as well, and they both look at me because they know we're together. And so I just turn to Stella, I'm like, when did we arrive? And Stella freezes. She looks at me. She does like she didn't know what to say either. So she's like, and then I just go, January, which was true. Like I just went out and told the truth. I'm like, January. And then he was like, oh, and you stayed longer because of the coronavirus. And Stella just responds with, yeah, that. And we looked like the guiltiest people, even though like we weren't doing anything wrong or anything.
Passengers and staff are required to maintain 1 meter distance and follow hygienic rules displayed within the terminal. Paris thanks you for your attention.
Can you remove your mask, please? Where are you coming from?
Sicily.
Where?
Sicily.
Italy?
Yes.
What is the reason for going to Italy?
To go home.
No.
To going to Italy?
Italy, yeah.
Oh, we were
family and
visiting
friends,
a while
family and
ago.
friends.
Yeah.
How long have you been?
We've been there since January.
Since January?
Yeah.
Why you stayed 6 months?
4 months. We got stuck there with the whole coronavirus thing.
There was no flights from Sicily.
Yeah.
Sure? Are you sure? Yes. Take the temperature and then you can do bye.
Bon voyage!
Coming from Europe, Schengen, island of the province of the People's Republic of China, needs to fill out one form. Mainland China is designed for travelers coming from these special administrative regions of Hong Kong, Macau,
your declaration, your health declaration, because your temperature will be taken by the health authority. Thank you.
Good morning. Hello. We are in New York. We're across the street from the airport in a hotel. We landed in New York yesterday at like 4 p.m. because like they specifically said on the plane, you're not allowed to film or take photos of anything that went on. I obviously couldn't film.
I have eyeshadow on, but no mascara.
So I'm just gonna explain to you what happened. Even though there weren't that many people, I mean, there was actually quite a few people,
But nowhere near the amount that there usually are.
but because the plane was so large, you couldn't tell. At the door of the airplane, not like the airport, before you even got into the airport, at the airplane door, there were like 6 police officers there.
And like 2 health welfare officers.
One by one, they had to first check your temperature, the first person, before you even stepped off the plane. They had to check your temperature. And then forms we filled out in the airplane. So those forms you then had to hand to the police officer that they just basically read it over, and then they handed us this. And then on the back, different languages. But besides that, that was it.
And on the form, we had different forms. On my form, it showed like the medical screener had to write my temperature and whether I had symptoms and then put their signature and the date. The guy never even did that. He just looked at me, looked at the form, took my temperature and was like, okay, you're good to
Maybe
go.
if it was our maybe they had to do that if our temperature was above
37. It's 37.
That's Celsius. We're so used to Italian temperatures.
Oh my goodness, you're right.
But I don't even know what it is in
37
American temperatures.
Not American, Fahrenheit.
Or Fahrenheit. So that was it. And then because we've talked about it, it was the most easiest, simplest flying experience we've ever done.
Especially
Customs was
from
so easy.
JFK, like, oh my goodness.
Just everything, because there was hardly anyone flying. It was just us. So there was no waiting lines. Everyone was just like, hi, like everyone was so like
everyone was so
talkative.
chatty, like even in Catania they were like joking around with me about like our heritage basically. In Rome the guy was the pilot was asking us like how things were in America. We're like, we haven't been there in 4 months, we don't really know.
He's like, I want to go to California next month, and we're just like, I'm not exactly sure how you'll do that.
Exactly.
But
you know, Paris was the only place they were
one.
little.
It was that one guy. He
just
didn't
a little
believe
snooty.
my passport was me. He's like, is this really you? Like,
you look very different though. I have to agree with him.
I do, but like.
And then
Like,
New York,
remove your mask.
when they said like welcome back in New York,
They're like, welcome home. Welcome
Yeah.
back
I
home.
was like,
We're just like, oh my gosh. Yeah, just like hearing welcome back home. Our next plans now are to, because obviously the coronavirus situation, there wasn't any direct flight from New York to Chicago, and obviously we're trying to get back to Chicago, home. We're leaving New York today at noon, going to North Carolina. We have a layover there. I don't even know how long layover is. I think it's only like a couple hours, so it shouldn't be that bad. I didn't even check that either. Yes, because we've had so many flights. So we've done 3 flights and we have 2 left to go. So, and then from North Carolina to Chicago. That's the plan now. So I'm curious how we'll be flying domestically. Let's look at our $12.25. There's only flights out of.
For your safety and the safety of those around you, we ask that you not huddle in groups, leaving space between you and other customers as you board today's flight. American now requires you to wear face coverings during this flight. Please wear your face covering during the boarding process and at all times throughout your flight. Some exceptions may apply, and you may see this on today's flight. If you do not have a face covering, please see me here at gate number 1. We have made temporary changes to our onboard service. We recommend purchasing any food or beverage you may need for the flight here at the airport before you board.